941-922-2345.
AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860.
Could be thunderstorm spots in the afternoon. They'll have 82. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 65. Tomorrow, partly sunny and less humid with a high 81. Tomorrow night, clear skies and 62. Then on Tuesday, mostly sunny and warm with a high 85. That's your accurate the forecast. I'm Garrett Beck for AM 860, The Answer.
For everything from questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb in Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions about gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you, or good evening, depending if you're listening on Sunday or Saturday. This is the time of year when we think, of course, Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I am live today, and we're in studio, so that means we want to hear from you. Today is the 27th, and that's where we are live. This is the time of year that a lot of things slow down a little bit. The grass doesn't grow quite as quickly. Weeds tend to grow. There are a lot of weeds that like the fall.
Tell me about it.
I bet you've got your crop up there, Ken.
My goodness, Dan.
And a wholesale and retail, right? Yeah. A year, and thank God some of those weeds will be kind of ants. They'll be gone. They'll be here. We're seeing a lot of little white flowers, a lot of little blue. We're seeing a lot of little yellows. Some of them are purslane, some of them are not. Some of them are in that group. A lot of the marigold group, and I like marigolds right now, but a lot of visits will be in bloom. We'll see Woodillia, which is used as a ground cover sometimes, has a little yellow, almost yellow butter looking flower. And
I think I've had, yeah.
You may have some of that. You will remember the definition of a weed is a plant out of place. So if you like the plant, one time the rose was considered when you had to go from one village in England to another and you had to go through a wild rose bed, it was a weed maybe. But as a hybrid in your backyard, I love to go out and I cut roses almost every day, it seems. I have I have a big rose area and a rose garden, but I have a few, and I've had some roses almost all my life as a grower. But we might say, if you want to call us and talk to us about your weeds, 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We'll put you on today. Today I am live, so you can call in with those plant questions, and so you'll know you're live and that you have that you're not otherwise. They call on the weekends that you are not here. In fact, Roger Vansmere, who may call in later, was an old Clearwater person who is now up in St. Augustine, tried to call me last week, or at least his wife, I think Sarah did, and said, "Hey, where are you?" And I said, "Well, I am in bed listening to radio." And some days too, I must say, getting up early, I'm going, "You go do this, and I'll let you go take a nap later." And this is with myself, but I wonder if I'm the only one in radio. I've been
Make promises to yourself.
But you make promise to yourself that you can go relax later. You'll let yourself, not fall asleep watching the Buccaneers play later.
You reward yourself.
Rewarding. I'll reward myself with something. Some people do it with food, some do it with plants, and some do it with other things. But I also wanted to say today, going later today to a remembrance of my cousin, Bill Miller, who lived his life in St. Petersburg. And he was like 10 years older than me. So we weren't real close as youngsters. I mean, we saw each other and said howdy, but we became friends. As you get to be an older, somewhat, age doesn't matter. 5 years, 10 years doesn't matter at all when you're 50, 60. It does matter when you're 10. But he's 20. They're going to college and you're going to grammar school.
Yeah, your little Stan.
So, yeah. So, I mean, he was never, we just didn't, but in the last few years, I would call up Bill, went to go see him. I'd bring him some avocados, as I sometimes bring some to the station, bring some to my sister. And Bill we would share jokes, and I knew Bill couldn't get out like he used to. Bill had been quite an athlete, played a lot of softball, baseball, and I knew, having been kind of in that same boat, that I was the athletic for a long time. You were. And in my case, it was heart problems and things of that nature. But, I can still give you my glory days, 1967, most valuable player on baseball team, because I hit 500 and I like to run and I could hit the bags better than most of the kids. Why? Because I just had that in me. Both Bill Miller, who we're having a celebration for life today, and I both would like to claim, and we did claim, our grandmother's cousin was Ty Cobb.
You've got a good eye from genetics.
Genetics, yeah. We could, hit the bags quickly. I was reading about Ty Cobb. He told one third baseman, he said, "I'm going to steal first, second, third, and home." And darned if he didn't go out and do it. And unheard of to be able to do that. I mean, I guess things may have been somewhat different back then, but you still had your top ball players, and they could still throw the ball, and they could still move. So anyway,
The difference is they didn't make millions of dollars.
No. I think he did more money than most. I think he hit like the 100,000 mark back when no one else hardly did.
Well, that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, that would have been millions today.
You buy like 3 houses back then.
And I think he was smart enough. He was one of the few ball players who did well. I don't think his personal life was that good, and I think he was kind of a mean guy.
He does have a reputation, I guess, of being nasty.
He apparently used to sharpen his spikes in front of the opposing team to let them know not in his way as he was coming around those bags. So, yeah, I don't know what a wonderful guy he was, but I don't think any of that was reported back then. So I know my grandmother always kept her Gertrude Cobb Miller in her name, and she was from upper New York State. It's funny, her sister, Aunt Bibi, would call up the local milking place about 4 a.m, and they'd go, "We know it has to be Edith Rolls." And they'd go, "How come?" She'd call them up. She'd go, "Well, I know you got to be up milking cows." I just thought it was almost like different eras have collided, and I find that, I guess, true in all of our lives, that there are, you're a youngster and you think, "I'm never getting old," and as you get older, you realize, "I am getting old." And
First, you have that indestructible period when you think you're indestructible. That's dangerous.
That's dangerous. That's some of the kids that are taking their cars and whipping between inches between one car and another as they go down Dale Mabry or around the turn, and you're thinking,
so if you survive that, then you get into the
reality world
that I am going to get old. Oh my!
Or you start to think maybe of the the hourglass, or maybe your glass.
That's right.
And I will say that when I was younger, older folks would tell me time goes by quicker. You'll never imagine that. And as a kid, you're going, I can't wait till summertime for running out and fishing and doing things. But as you get older, you realize time does go by quicker, and you start to lose some of your relatives and some of your friends, and that becomes tough.
Yeah. You lose 20 years all of a sudden.
So I think that maybe you're trying to call into us. I'll let you do that part of it too. Coming in on one. And I will say, we talked a little bit about real estate as far as James and I have been talking about it. We talk about it pretty heavily. I'm very proud of James. He has started his own company, and it is Dream It Real Estate. And you can go to Dream It Real Estate CO, and you can see what he is doing. And I kind of encouraged him. I said, "Hey, if you want this, if you have a passion for it, do it." Yes, there are a lot of other companies. There's big companies, and we've worked for some of the big companies. We worked for Berkshire Hathaway. We worked for Keller Williams. we worked with Remax. So we've been around a little bit, but I will say I'm glad that he's kind of on his, well, he'll be on his own. I will be him, but it will be his ballywick, if you will. And, I'm sure I'll still be going to do some things. All right, let's go to, I guess we got a little bit of time. We'll go real quickly to Roger Bansmere. Roger, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Stan, how are you? I'm doing fine.
I'm glad. Now, you are still in St. Augustine.
Still in St. Augustine. We've been up here for about 12 years now.
Wow. Time passes. I know forever and a day you were in Clearwater.
Right, yeah.
And I always loved your property there. It was quite unique. You had the caboose, and you're the only person I've ever met in my whole life that had their own caboose in their backyard.
Yeah, I had a lot of interesting things, including the hot air balloon, which I used to fly around the Clearwater area a lot.
I remember you had and I was always worried about the hot air balloon. What would you do if you're coming up anywhere near high power lines?
Well, that happened all the time. I mean, whenever you landed, you had to land in a sort of open space of opportunity, so you were always flying very low, looking for a landing spot. And you could come pretty close to power lines, but I never hit one.
Thank God. I would imagine that would be a bad day.
Yeah. I've seen it happen, but I was always tried to be very cautious whenever I flew. But flying in the Clearwater area or Bay Area, it's a very congested, populated area, as you know. So spaces to land 7-story tall hot air balloon were,
far and few between.
Yeah.
So you'd have to, maybe if you were going more inland in Zephyr Hills, it looked like there might be more open area that way.
Yeah.
But I did that once. I enjoyed it, but I decided, once was probably good enough. James came to me. We actually bought him this deal for the skydive. His best friend was going to jump with him, and his best friend decided not to. And James came to me and said, "Oh, Dad, I know you'll do it." And so I said, "Well, okay, I'll do it." And I did. And my guy I jumped with, we'll come back to that in a minute. We're going to hit to pay some bills here, Roger. So media. Stay with us as the plant talk and an air balloon talk and painting to come up here just shortly. So you stay with us here on AM 860, The Answer.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794. Or at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Broken air conditioner? Keep your home AC running smoothly all year long with Easy Breezy AC. With thousands of active commercial and residential customers, Easy Breezy AC is Tampa Bay's most trusted HVAC company. Easy Breezy AC cares about those in need. Donate 2 cans of food and receive $20 off a $79 service call. Go to easybreezyac.com and use promo code Green Thumb for an additional $10 off your service call. Call 727-856-HVAC. Life's hard. Comfort's not.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're latest equipment and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. It's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company. This for over 15 years, staffed, bonded, and insured. 546-8786. 72546-8786. On the web at StaffordTreeSVC.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's PLANTZ, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your Biophilic site. Go to plantz.us.
No more mold, no more damage, no more outdated old bathroom. No more slipping and hurting. No more stress. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. Be stress-free. Call 800-430-1180. CCI Bath and Shower is made in America for the highest quality. Ask about our military and senior discounts. Your dream bathroom in as little as 1 day. First 50 callers save $1,500 on the Never Clear Glass treated door. Call now for free premium color upgrades. 800-430-1186. Call BCI Bath and Shower, the leader in bathroom remodeling. Be smart, save, and stay a step of inflation with our interest-free financing options. Call 800-430-1186. Love your bathroom with free upgrades. Call 800-430-1186. 800-430-1186.
Bill Buckley here. With rising gas prices and high inflation, reviewing healthcare insurance expenses is a great strategy. Contact Tim Cooper at Health Plan Network, as he may be able to offer your coverage. If you selected one of those high deductible limited network plans, you're not stuck with it. Tim Cooper at Health Plan Network's Freedom of Choice plan puts most of the coverage up where you only meet your deductible if you're in a hospital. You pick your own doctors, and it's 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. This plan is available all year round to those that qualify. If you're paying for your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, or your employment coverage is just too expensive, call Tim Cooper at 813-212-2580 or go to plannetwork.net. If you are under 65, reasonably healthy, and don't need maternity coverage, you can save 30 to 60%. Call Tim Cooper at 813-212-2580.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at askmrgreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And good morning. Excuse me. I seem to have this cough every day. But Roger, tell me how things are going for you.
Well, we've moved up here in August. We've sort of enjoyed it. It's not quite as popular as it is back there in Pinellas County, but for the past 12 years now, we've been working on our PBS television series, Painting and Travel, with Roger and Sarah Bansimer. And we're on over 300 stations across the country, PBS stations, public broadcasting. And we're on the Create channel as well. We've done 143 of.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I've watched them before, and it's always, you get to see a different place, and then you describe, how you saw this painting coming about. And I always find that entertaining, and you always do, of course, a fantastic job on your paintings.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we've been all over the country. We've done shows as far away as Alaska to Maine to the Caribbean, Mexico. So, and even down to Costa Rica. So we've gone a lot of places and done a lot of travel and painting programs. It's been really enjoyable. It's been really nice.
So people who are out there, they need to. We're both up on, of course, Facebook, and I saw we have Randy said hey, and Lon said hey. So that is great. We've got people there. We're also on Google. We're everywhere, and of course, WGUL is a station you probably remember from your time in Pinellas.
Sure, yeah.
So we are there. We are, we're in about 7 counties in Tampa Bay area, maybe a little bit further. We're both on AM and FM. We're on AM 860 and 93, I think, 0.7, if I'm correct. And I think Brian shakes his head and says, yes, you got it right. And and there are areas I did hear the other day, but I probably couldn't hear it on the AM side. And I switched over to 93.7 and I picked it up like it was, a bell. So I guess that's our great engineering staff here has made sure that we, catch us everywhere. But I know you do a lot of landscape paintings, and which I like. You can sometimes bring it very close, and then you also have done some that were more like Monet.
Well, I'm an impressionist, but I pretty much paint landscape paintings for the most part, but I do a lot of other things too. I do most every subject, and since I've done so many books, like my book on the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Smoky Mountains, and another book called Southern Shores. I've done a lot of different subjects. Plus, I've done a couple of books on lighthouses, which is a great subject for me.
I like it. Well, you live next to a lighthouse.
I sure do, yeah.
You could throw a baseball from your front yard, if you had a good arm, to the lighthouse just about, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. It's just, it's very, very close. We're real fortunate here. I love that lighthouse. Never get tired looking at it.
You like lighthouses? You liked hot air balloons? You liked railroads? You lived next to a railroad for a long time. You said you love trains too, right?
Yeah, well, I grew Clearwater, grew up there and lived there most of my life. Things I've really sort of latched onto, but really my focus of my career has just been to make a living as an artist, but I've been real fortunate. And of course, television also get national exposure every week.
Yeah, I would think that helped. I remember when I sold most of my books, I was doing a show for PBS, which I did for about 12 years, and then we were also doing segments with Jocular Jack on both 13 and 8 back when Channel 13 had the old Pulse Plus. Not that I've ever been invited back to Old Timers Day for either 13 or 8. I would come in. I always had Martine Grammatica. I would come in and do my 3 minutes on air. Enjoyed doing that. And of course, back then, Channel 13, I guess as it may be today, was the #1 station in the market. And then Jack went to 8, and I worked with him there. And I worked, of course, with him in radio for a while, too. But people, they'll sometimes say, do your Jack imitation. And I can go, Jocular Jack from Blake, West Virginia. Which I like Jack, even though, they've got Jack, I think, too early in the morning now. But he's still doing stuff at 81. So amazing. Okay. He's kind of like you and I. He's the ever-ready bunny. We keep on going, even though we may have some health problems. We keep trying to do things.
Yeah, he interviewed me a few times. I'm still in contact and good friends with Bob. I talked to him a couple times a week.
Oh, yeah, Bob was a legend in the Tampa Bay area as well.
Yeah, he lives down in Fort Myers.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just down there last year doing a consulting job, which I still do some. Actually, I have James now, but usually kind of counting the plants, and he can get down and count those trunks and stuff, and I can sit in the car and watch. But I can also identify what he's counting. But so if you're not really an impressionist, and you really aren't, but you're what I call maybe more of a realist. I mean, I look at your paintings, it looks like if you took a picture of it.
Yeah, I think realist is probably a better description, although they're not photographic. But I've probably done 10,000 paintings in my lifetime. But for a whole decade, I did nothing but abstract work. So
did you?
I did almost 1,000 large abstracts, and a lot of them are still around. I get emails from and I know I did almost 1,000 of them because when I started to do the abstractings, that was back in the early 70s. I started to number them, number 1, and when I stopped doing them, I was close to 1,000. And I think, and I stopped doing abstract is, I used to fly a hot air balloon, and people used to say to me whenever I landed, they would say, "I've always had that fantasy to fly in a balloon." Mm-hmm. And I said, "You want to do a book on that?" And I just thought, well, I guess I will. And so I started doing books, and then I did 7 or 8 books, and then I stopped doing that, we started to do the television show for PBS. It's been a real progression.
What's funny, I talked to PBS earlier this year. I thought about maybe going back and doing something just maybe locally, but that hasn't happened. But we might still do something. We still see it, and we had something like 75 to 80,000 viewers. It was huge. So I know there's still people out there who care about. Roger, you want to stay with me after we'll do another break here? We'll be coming up to the news. So stay with us as the talk real estate. And in this case, Roger Bansmere with his painting. And you probably have seen him on PBS. Does a great job. Stay with us as the Plant Talk continues right here on AM 860, The Answer.
Want to talk real estate? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at Did you know that Stan, as Mr. Greenthumb, can come to your house and examine your plants, trees, and palms? His knowledge can help you become the envy of your neighborhood with lush, green, healthy trees that don't just live, but thrive. Palms and oak trees are part of what makes Florida a beautiful place to live, but they get diseases and are often cut down. We offer ways to save your trees. Call, text Stan today at 727-423-4794 or go online to AskMrGreenthumb.com. That's AskMR Greenthumb.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com. 93.7 FM. W229DJ Dunedin. By downloading the Answer Tampa app or on TuneIn or Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center. AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com. AM 860, The Answer.
The bigger your fact is with proposed new taxes, another market crash, inflation, and rising healthcare costs, you could be forced to demonstrate a secret savvy investors are turning to for retirement security. A new 401k law that unlocks an ingenious retirement protection plan that could protect your savings from inflation and a stock market downturn while boosting your retirement income as much as 40%. It's all out in simple language in a new book from Josh Melberg. His insightful guide is your roadmap to retiring with confidence, and it's yours free with one call. Don't risk a lifetime of work building your retirement. This little-known retirement protection plan could safeguard your wealth and boost your retirement up to 40%. For your free copy of Guarantee Your Retirement by Josh Melberg, call now. Call 800-337-8051. That's 800-337-8051. 800-337-8051.
Dennis Prager here, inviting you to join me for a very memorable travel opportunity. Mike Gallagher and I are headed back to Israel next October for the Stand With Israel tour. Join us along with our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours, as we tour Israel and show you Israel's significance on the world stage. Visit standwithisraeltour.com to register or call 855-565-5519.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8800. 8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFridas.
And James, of course, is off. We do 2 shows. I come in and do a live one. Just people have some plant questions, maybe some pock marks on the tree. We're still going out. We're doing some injecting of trees. We try to save trees. I think it's important. If the tree's been around for 100 years, maybe it deserves to be here a little bit longer. And speaking of someone who's not 100 years quite, but past the half mark is Roger. Roger, are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Way past half mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was thinking about that last night. I'm going to a remembrance of my cousin today, a celebration of life, Bill Murray, and you probably didn't know him, but great guy, worked for the city of St. Pete, he was the city manager out in, I believe, St. Pete Beach. I'm not sure about that, Paso Grill area. I know he was the city manager there for, I think, for a while, or at least head of one of the divisions. I may be saying that wrong, but great guy. And always, I thought of a joke the other day, and I wanted to think about calling him to tell him the joke, and I realized, of course, that he wasn't with us. And have you ever done that, Roger, where you start to think about something you'd want to tell, I don't know, your dad or somebody, and then you go just for that instant, and then you realize, of course, that can't happen.
But yeah, that sure happens a lot more as we get older.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things. But you, of course, are a talented artist, and I like the way you kind of show how you're going to put your painting together. And I'm not really an artist, but you inspire me sometimes that I like to think I could be. And you kind of set with the colors and how to add things in, and you make it understandable. I used to watch in the old days. I had a show was right before mine where he does the colorings, and he this is a happy tree, and gosh, I can't think of his name now, but you know who I'm talking about, the curly-haired.
Well, I think really painting is more about being able to see and observe as much as it is about actually putting the paint on the canvas. I think so many people just assume that maybe the tree trunk is brown and the grass is green, and it's not always the case. So when I paint, or at least our television shows are more about observing and seeing the way things are because of reflected light and so on, rather than it is actually about mixing color.
Mm-hmm. So you may show a tree that's deformed, or the tree has, maybe it's codominant and one side's kind of more in control than the other, which just often happens in nature.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly. That's a good example. I think artists see a little different than other people, and everybody sees a little different. For instance, you as a tree guy would look at a tree and you would make note of whether the tree is healthy, whether it needs water, or different things like that. As an artist, I look at a tree and look at the overall shape, maybe the way the light is hitting it, and so we look at it in many different ways as an artist or a culturist.
I know when I first look at trees, I'm looking at what's going wrong with the tree. Is their bark cracking, splitting, or their whole sap, sawdust? The things that I look for, mushroom growth, things that I know can kill the tree, or at least limit the trees. I saw a tree the other day. It was a maple tree, beautiful maple tree. I didn't take the photo, but someone else had. And so just because I thought it was a beautiful, they're not a painting, but I was thinking of you. You would look at that, you would see the different movement, but also the different shadings of color. When you think of a red maple, yes, it's red, but it also had pinks and yellows and other subtle colors probably put into your painting as well.
Yeah, so it really depends, what profession we're in as to how we really look at things and how we see things.
Sure, so everybody's a little bit different, and sometimes the differences make the difference. I've seen many different artists to bring. I like your style. I argue with one of my friends who was an art critic type, and he would say, I like to. He's more. He liked the Impressionist more. Well, okay, that's all right. I have nothing against the Impressionist, but I do like where I can see it, and it's almost like you could jump into that picture. The other, to me, an Impressionist is almost like I'm waking up from a dream, and I'm almost a glimpse of something.
Yeah.
But
I think I have probably 900 paintings on my website that
wow.
people can. So we have a lot of different subjects too. Yeah, since we've traveled, I've just been fascinated by a lot of different subjects in the mountains here in Florida. I've done a lot of Florida landscapes. I call them my Florida wilderness or vanishing Florida landscapes.
Well, that's yeah. You'll see different areas where water. Often, I see you incorporate water, or you'll put marshes, and sometimes some of the fauna and flora into your artwork.
Well, I did a whole book called on Florida birds called Water's Edge, and so yeah, that was another subject I liked for quite a while. Haven't painted any birds for quite a while, but yeah, it's really not about the subject so much. To me, it can be any subject. It's really about the shape and composition that fascinates me, rather than the subject itself.
I think you said you went to Clearwater High. Did your art teacher like you there, or not?
No, I failed art school for a semester. I couldn't believe it. But back then, high school had a program where you could go to school for half a day and work a half a day as an apprentice for somebody. And so I worked at Daniel's Outdoor Advertising, and I used to design billboards, and I used to go out and paint billboards. And this was in high school. These were 10 by 40 foot billboards. And I'd go out, and so I was a pretty good sign painter, even in high school. And I used to collect a lot of my own accounts, as it were, during that time too. And last year I was in that program. Of course, you were supposed to be an apprentice, but I had so many accounts that just let me go to school half a day, and then I went home and I worked on my own accounts, doing truck lettering and things like that. So yeah, I really grew up as a sign painter. Loved sign painting, but that whole field of sign painting is
because
I do too.
you saw artwork. I mean, especially in Florida and traveling on 19 or traveling on some of the roads, you would really see some artwork that was unique and interesting, and not just put up with somebody with a pole and putting something there that's been done somewhere else.
All the billboards now are just they're printed, like huge inkjet printers.
So I found that I missed some of that because there was more art. At least it was Florida art, and it told kind of a time and period that we don't see today, and somehow I find a missing for that. And I think I'm not the only one that would say that.
Yeah, but I don't know if everybody feels that way, but whenever I see a hand-painted sign, which I seldom see anymore, I don't know, there's just something about it that I don't know, it just looks good to me rather than a printed sign, done in Helvetica or some other font. Just personally lettering, just as a style of its own that you can't get with just typefaces.
I agree 1,000%. Well, I remember when I first started in radio, I worked with a guy, Joe Gingrich, who was a sales manager at the old WFSO, which was the album station. And amazingly enough, FSO or at least 570 is in this building. and it was actually the first station I worked on back about 45 years ago, doing WPLP, people talking to people. And I find that kind of ironic. Up above me over here, and they're 570 as well as, which is our faith. But I'm on 860. But people asked me the other day, well, where have you been? I said, well, I've been at 10, 40, 970. I said, if you work in radio, you tend to work around the dial. And that's good. I mean, and the same thing with the TV. I've done a little bit of things with 13, 8 to 10, 28, 44, you name it. I probably have done something there, and you the same way with your artwork. Now, if people want to see your paintings, so you're still selling artwork, right?
Oh, yeah, certainly. That's really how I make a living for the past 60, 70 years.
Okay. How do they get to see that? Tell them where they can go look at your artwork.
Well, my website has lots of artwork on it and things like that. And probably the easiest one to remember is the name of our television show, paintingandtravel.com. That's one word, paintingandtravel.com. And from there you can see what we're doing now and all of our artwork. And we also send out a weekly newsletter with a new painting on it and some art tips, things like that. So that's pretty much how we do it. How everybody does it these days is websites and things like that.
Sure, we have an Ask Mr Greenthumb, .com people can go to, and I think that's fun. But I was talking with Brian earlier in one of the break sets there. In the old days we had 8, 10, 13, 44, 28, and Channel 3, and maybe in there for a while. I guess it's still there. But if it was on PBS on Saturday morning at 10, I normally after one of the cartoon state programs. So that was big doings. PBS hardly ever got to be number 2 on any of the rating slots. But so I knew that people liked plants, trees, shrubs. And Roger, you want to hang in there with me?
Okay.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and pay some bills. You're listening to the Ask Mr Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show here on AM 860, The Answer.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online aflrd.com.
Why do Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786, on the web at staffordtreesvc.com.
Biophilia are innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with Biophilic site. Go to plantz.us.
The IRS is the do not give up until you pay. They put a lien on my house. How about you? Do you owe back taxes? Call Tax Solutions now and get some help. For a limited time, the IRS offers a tax forgiveness program called the Fresh Start Initiative. Our team can make it easier for you to pay back taxes, avoid tax liens, and get a fresh start. Sometimes you just need a second chance.
I call Tax Solutions now, and they got the IRS off my back.
At Tax Solutions Now, our affiliates are all accredited by the Better Business Bureau and members of the National Association of Tax Professionals.
Saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency
the world.
Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now. Call 800-355-3469. 800-355-3469. 800-355-3469.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan DeFreitas, and we have been talking with Roger Bansmer, who is, I'd say world-renowned artist. Roger, I'm always amazed when you look at things. I'm always wondering, how does someone like yourself, you look at it and you see it and you can put it down on canvas. And other folks like myself, I'd like to be able to do that. But, God didn't really give me that blessing, I don't think. Though it's funny, I had an art teacher who said, you shouldn't probably be in an art class. And then I did some crazy things for her, some stained glass windows. I got lucky that what I saw eventually came to be. So I don't know. I sometimes wonder, why should art teachers tell somebody that they're horrible when maybe it's just, something that needs to, ferment and bud and come forth. What's your opinion on that?
Well, some of it is talent, but I think maybe just a little bit of it's talent. It's mainly just a dedication and an interest in what you want to do, and then just doing a lot of it. I don't think anybody can really teach art or teach you how to draw. There's a lot of principles and perspective and things like that you can teach, but like I said earlier, most of it is observation, clear observation of what you're looking at to paint, in the style that I do, sort of realistic. And so I know when I'm out painting, sometimes if I'm out painting on location, people say just what you do. I don't have any talent. Well, we sort of disregard the fact that maybe you've been out here so many million times and have done it over and over and had a lot of failures along the way. And then, after you've been painting 50 years or more than 50 years like me, well, you finally can catch on. So
that's true.
The thing about art, though, is anybody, you do a painting and anybody can be an artist. If you pick up a violin and start to try and play, it's obvious that you can either play or you can't play. But art is a little different because it's so, people can call themselves, without much practice or talent or whatever.
I understand. Well, I had a friend of mine named Jeffrey Fisk who painted under the name of Caleb. I'm not sure why he did, but he was in a home here in Florida, in let's say a recovery home, if you will. He was in a wheelchair and having problems of that place, got where he could put down and paint again, and he was happier because they'd taken away one of his. And he is so gutsy, he actually now lives in Ecuador. And I was trying to talk him out of it, but quite the talent. And I asked him, I said, what's your secret for becoming a great painter? He said, anyone could become a good painter if they'll paint 100,000 paintings.
Well, I think he's right. Maybe not 100,000, but that idea.
That you're going to have to do a bunch of them. And he said, look, most of the time, first time out, your artwork may not be great. Sometimes you'll scrap some pictures of the old days. Sometimes they would paint over paintings because it was precious to have material to paint on. And someone didn't like the artwork they did. It was a portrait. And, you made Churchill look like Churchill. You didn't make him look like he was 20 again. And So I've heard stories like that. There were people who would go, "Oh, well, I really don't want the realism. I want imagine." I think I still look at my advanced age. I look at the 20 or 30 year.
Well, whenever I'm in a waiting room, if I'm in a doctor's office, something like that, I always bring everybody else is swiping on their phones, and I'm watching them swiping on their phone. So I put that time to use other than just looking at the next Facebook picture, what your friend had just had for breakfast. I'm doing sketches and I do those pretty stealthily too. I'm pretty good at that. People don't even know I'm sketching them, but I've got sketchbooks lots of sketchbooks full of just that sort of thing. So I never get away from this subject of art and painting. Even if I don't have a sketchbook in my hand, I'm always looking at things with that eye. How would I draw that, or what color is that? I can be sitting in a room that's just a white walls, and I keep looking at the walls and saying, well, that's a little bit cooler up there towards the ceiling, and it's a little bit warmer down here towards the floor. I wonder why that is. It must be this light reflecting from this or that. So that's what I'm always doing.
I would think that makes sense that every area that you look at, light always plays a part, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and
a huge part, yeah.
I'm wondering too, now a lot of I see investors buy paintings, and it seems historically people who have bought paintings have said that not only do they enjoy having the painting on hand, but that it's a investment. Oh, what say you?
I hate to disagree, but the whole painting market isn't what it used to be.
What's this caller? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Get in there and dump him heat. No, that's fine. I think you're pretty right, though. I have found that people who, let's say, like an artist like yourself, there's only so many Roger Vansmeer paintings out there, and so I would think that people there would want to collect. They might not want all artwork, but they might want something they could see what you could see. They can see that beach scene or that cabin in the woods and identify with it.
Well, there are those people out there, and certainly that's how I've met my living for so many years. But I think that the whole mindset of that sort of thing has changed now because we have so much media to look at now, so much available. Like you're saying earlier, when we were growing up, we had 3 or 4 TV stations, and now we've got just thousands of shows we can choose from. So eyes on paintings just takes a real back seat to all the other media that's being pushed at us all the time.
Well, I don't like all the media, though. Sometimes I look at it, there's 1,000 stations, and I go through them, and I find myself looking at something that was made in 1960. So I don't know. I know there's so many more choices, but I don't always like the choices I see, which I find disappointing.
One nice thing for me about being an artist is I'm not forced, but I have to look at something for a long time when I paint it. Most everybody else with the camera or the phone, they look at it for a second, click the picture, and they're gone. I remember I was up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I was sitting by the roadside doing a painting. These people kept driving in, or they're jumping out of the car, snapping a picture, and they were gone. And they really missed so much of what I was getting. I mean, it's okay, but I really enjoy that part about being able to absorb something for a long time. But people's
expand
and it's pretty short these days. Yeah,
which is almost like fast food and going to a really nice restaurant. There's the fast gets it done, but I don't know if you get that enjoyment factor.
Right, exactly, yeah. Although I've never enjoyed sitting waiting for food for a long time.
Well, don't go to Europe because you'll sit for a long time. But I enjoy, well, you get to see different vistas too sometimes, and I enjoy that when you're sitting at a restaurant. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want it to be a 4-hour meal, but it could last an hour, and I could enjoy that just about as much as. Of course, you want to get in quickly and out. You go to the fast food place and be done in 30 seconds. But anyway, Roger, tell people again they can go see how they can go see your work.
Oh, sure. Well, my website, the easiest way is paintingandtravel.com. Paintingandtravel.com. You can see a lot of my paintings. It's been nice talking to you, Stan.
It's been enjoyable. This hour's gone by amazingly quick. And Roger, say hey to your wife, Sarah. I've enjoyed having Roger as a friend for ever and a day. Want you to go out and take time to smell the roses, enjoy life. Go out and look at some trees, look at some roses. Look at some of the beauty that God has given us, and you will have a better day. Have a great one. Live it up.
Interested in having a consult? Remember, text 423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.